content and offensive spoilers ahead.
Ah, yes. Welcome, folks. We are the Big Bone Boys. I am Gor'Don.
And I'm Vade.
And we thought that since 2020 is ending up being quite possibly the best year in recent memory, that this whole episode would be a celebration of this year, this paragon of years, this checkpoint of humanity moving forward. Looking outside and seeing that the space elevator construction is going smoothly, it looks like we're going to be an intergalactic civilization soon. What a turning point that 2020's been. And I think it started, I can't pinpoint it, but I can pinpoint good moments. Like, for example, we're in the throes of the not E3, since, of course, coronavirus was more or less defeated by the competency of world governments. But as a safety precaution, a lot of companies still held events that were digital only. And NGPX was just maybe the best one of them. There were so many good games announced at this thing. Sorry, I stuttered there. Vade.
I mean, hell, we got a new Mega Man X game. Mega Man Legends 4 was announced.
That's pretty amazing considering that Legends 3 wasn't released yet. This pretty much confirms that Legends 3 is coming.
What else do we have? Obsidian had a massive set of games, including the new Fallout game. They bought out Bethesda, and now we're getting a brand new Fallout game.
I think this is going to be like the era of Obsidian because Persona 6 was announced. And did you see that there's consultation from Obsidian? It's supposed to be a new diverse cast of worldwide characters that is going to marry the best parts of Japanese and Western storytelling. This is going to be amazing, this game.
Sonic Mania 2 and 3?
2 and 3 with lock-on technology making a triumphant return, and the third one's going to be free. Like, what an amazing fucking show that was, man.
I mean, Microsoft even brought back Scalebound.
I couldn't believe that Scalebound came back. When they showed up at NGPX, Phil Spencer and Hideki Kamiya showed up together, I lost my mind. Everyone I was watching it with just went over the moon, and Scalebound was there. And then they said that it's going to be released by the end of the month. And it looks amazing. It looks like so next gen, but it's running on modern hardware. Can't wait to try this game.
I mean, and all the different developers came together and said that they were reducing the cost of new games by $10, not increasing it. What a comeback.
What a weird thing to see all these corporate entities finally turn against their various shareholders and executives who were just there to collect a paycheck and dedicate themselves to gamers, introducing an indie industry loot box solution that, I gotta say, works out for everyone. It's just such an amazing year. Even outside of the gaming space, can you believe that Black Michael Jackson's back? And it turned out that he was alive all this time. All the allegations were false. The white Michael Jackson was this weird clone. It's incredible. And he's coming out with a new album. I can't wait for Thriller 2.
It's going to be amazing what he comes out with.
You know what I think is standout, though, while we are talking about gaming, is how all of our gaming communities just are not rife with sexual allegations and misconduct. I think it's so amazing that there is absolutely no fear from anyone who may be underage or a woman of being taken advantage of by anyone in the gaming community. That this is basically non-existent. It's like people woke up after Gamergate. And the fact that was squashed so fast, that barely lasted a month before people realized that it was all phony and that they had to reorganize in a way to actually attack faulty video games reporting without attacking women. It was so fucking good. I can't believe that anyone, regardless of age or gender or whether or not they're transgender, can just go to any gaming community and be welcome with absolutely no hatred. It's just incredible that we don't have Ubisoft apologizing and restructuring their company. It's just so amazing that EVO 2020 wasn't fucking cancelled because of Joey Cooler's idiocy. It's just so good that we don't have that. It's just great.
I mean, things are going so well. Angry Video Game Nerd actually changed his name of his show. It's now the Placated Video Game Nerd.
It doesn't have quite the same ring as AVGN,
It doesn't.
PVGN.
I mean, yeah, he kind of had to forgive all those old bad games, but things are going so well, he just thought it kind of went along with it.
Who would have thought LGN would be back and, like, with a vengeance and making good games? Like, I was going to say again, but this is really a first for them.
Well, you know, even then, they did have that one they did right. That was that Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man
game.
Venom.
But that was
Maximum
more of
Carnage.
a mistake.
Yeah, but the fact that they're making a new one and it looks like it's going to be better than Streets of Rage 4 and Battletoads, it's just incredible to see LGN just make a swift recovery like that. It's such a good year. In fact, I don't see any reason why we need to continue. We've briefly outlined what a great year this was, and we're going to come back next week because we actually have an interview with the director of the Space Elevator Project and how it's going to lead to just future opportunities for the world to expand. We're setting up apparently a Dyson's web of satellites around the sun to harness its infinite energy, setting up stellar engines to ensure that humanity has a place in the cosmos for eons to come. What a year. What a year for humanity and gaming in general 2020 has been. So folks, if you have anything to add, by all means, leave us a comment on our absolutely not outdated website, and we'll see you next time.
Tune in later.
What the fuck was that?
Man, Gor'Don sounded like an asshole.
He sounded like a right prick, didn't he?
What was he, British?
I think he was British. I don't even know what to think of that. Like, I think what we got was a transmission from an alternate dimension, and I gotta tell you, what I should be wondering is, wow, there's like other dimensional life, but what I really feel is just pissed off that apparently their 2020 isn't anywhere bad as ours.
How do I teleport to their dimension? For fuck's sake.
They're NGPX at Sonic Mania 2, Dave. And 3.
Scalebound.
Did you hear what Vade said? Vade sounded handsome. Vade was easily the better part of that duo.
Definitely.
Yeah, he didn't make a single pun though, which honestly I thought for sure that his name was Vade. I thought I was going to hear a pun or two, but we didn't hear any puns at all. It was just so weird.
That world seemed so good. He didn't have to evade any issues.
You know, I like that you thought of that one on the spot. That was actually fairly quick-witted. I hate how quick-witted it was. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Fucking that Gor'Don guy, though, I would punch him right. I bet you he has 2 testicles and everything. Well, folks, sorry for the interruption there. This is Two Fat Guys Talk, episode 121.
Our 2020, as you know, is nowhere as good.
So NGPX fucking sucked.
Oh my god. NGPX was just a fucking gong show. It was uninteresting.
They had that stupid announcer come up every boring announcement being like,
God.
"This has been incredible, hasn't it?" And Kiki, who I was watching this with, said, "No!"
It was awful. I mean, there was so many times we were just like, what the hell are we watching?
Weeb game after weeb game after weeb game.
I felt sorry for the guy doing the announcer stuff at the end of everyone, because it was a different guy. Him having to explain what the fuck we just watched, because half the time it was the opening unintelligible cinematic they always show at the beginning of games when you leave it on pause kind of thing, like the trailer that shows no gameplay sort of stuff. And that's all it was freaking anime weeb game after visual novel after weeb game. And the guy at the end, actually, he had the better job, because he was actually able to tell us more about the game than the fucking video did.
I should have realized something was wrong when they opened this shit with fucking Catherine. I should have realized something was very, very wrong. Now,
This is like, the 4th version of Catherine?
Too many Catherines.
Oh.
Now, some people are saying it's too soon for a Persona 6. I don't know if I entirely agree with that, but okay, fine. NGPX was supposed to be a showcase of more Japanese niche titles, and I get that, but they went a little too niche. Sega, Atlas, SNK, Arxis were all involved here. And while we did get some cool things, admittedly, we did not get nearly as good of a show that lineup should promise. Like, Way Forward was there, and we got maybe a little glimpse of Ashante during the montage of games.
Yeah, like 2.5 seconds.
I saw Way Forward and Arxis there, and I'm like, come on, Double Dragon Neon 2, it's time, or a re-release or something. That's something I didn't hear Gor'Don mention, so they didn't get that. So I'm a little happy for that. Yeah, I certainly don't think it's because he just forgot to mention it.
This was the broken arrow of video game showcases. They put all these big titled developers right up on screen to make you all positive, and then we got really nothing in return.
Now, let's talk about the stuff that was good.
Sure.
So Crab Fight, that trailer, I don't know if I want to play the game, but that trailer was fucking amazing. Crazy action J-pop with the janky quap fucking crab fighting was that was awesome. That trailer sold the show, and since that came relatively early, I was like, okay, hopeful. Okay, yes. Good. So far, so good. Crab fight.
Like, look, I'm not necessarily against there being a really heavy JRPG kind of vibe to a lot of the stuff we got. Now, I do have a problem when it comes across as just a visual novel, because I'm not a visual novel sort of guy.
There's a shocking number of visual novels here.
Here's the problem, though. It is very hard, without them showing any gameplay, for us to actually say whether any of that was just a visual novel or whether those were the cutscenes in between JRPG games. Because one of the big ones there was Trials of Steel.
Yeah, the
Trials of Cold Steel.
Yeah, Legend of Heroes. It's part of the Legend of Heroes games.
Now,
instead of showing us the gameplay,
I've got a friend. Oh no, actually, that actually had some gameplay there. It actually did. But if you for the most that what they showed there was the cutscenes in between, the talking that happens for RPGs. It's very hard to tell the difference these days between a visual novel setup and the talking that happens between JRPG battle segments. You can't say, so you almost have to have a thing at the very beginning saying, this is a visual novel, this is a JRPG, or whatever else.
Or they could cut the trailers better. Yes. I'm reminded of how, you know how when we do our Anime Rave previews, right?
Yes.
And I talk about how most of these blurbs talking about these shows suck.
Yes.
And we occasionally have watched a trailer for them, and most of those trailers are hot trash too.
Yes.
And I don't know what cultural thing is ingrained for the Japanese to just make their anime trailers garbage and not tell you anything and kind of rely on weird nostalgia and knowing the source manga or whatever. But that's what I felt like here. I felt like I would be really hype if I knew what any of these were and liked them.
And I think you've nailed a bunch that ran on the nose, is that they expect you to have previous knowledge of stuff to get hyped about these trailers. And the average Japanese RPG trailer that they do originally in Japan doesn't get us hype unless you know. Like,
I'm reminded of the Kill la Kill trailer. That Kill la Kill is one of the most amazing anime series ever made. And made by Trigger, and rife with scenes to compose quite possibly the greatest trailer of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And the trailer for Kill la Kill is tepid and boring. And it shows character stills and a bunch of text that means nothing in context, when they could show any 4 scenes from the first 4 episodes and people would be leaping out of their seats to watch it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. There's plenty in JRPGs. Like, here's one that was good before it was indefinitely canceled. Tales of Arise.
Yes.
The scenes we saw at E3 were neat. They showed us what to expect and gave us a taste of the story.
Well, and some more details would come out about Tales of Arise is that it hasn't actually been put on hold indefinitely. It has been pushed into 2021. They're not giving any time frame yet, so it could be end of 2021. But it is unfortunate because it's the first Tales game that I've been mildly interested in years.
Yeah, we got to see Milia and Zato footage, and no surprise here, they look amazing. We got Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is the 3D one Iga made, and then
Blood of the Moon.
It's called like Blood of the Moon or something. Something of the Moon.
The 8-bit.
It was the 8-bit throwback prequel game they made to accompany Bloodstained is getting a sequel. That was surprising because that's actually a super good game. I was hoping the Intercreate surprise we were going to get is Blaster Master 03, but it wasn't. It was that. But I don't mind that. I still have to go through and beat the first one because it's balls hard.
It is.
But I'm all for that.
And I would normally call that low-hanging fruit, being an 8-bit game, but that's not fair to the game. I mean, to make those games hard but fair, you have to put a lot of work into the game to make sure that it meets both of those factors, and that's not easy to pull off.
I remember you did say on chat that you wish it would look more 16-bit.
I was hoping for a 16-bit.
I tend to agree with you, even though these games are definitely much more high fidelity than 8-bit with their parallax backgrounds and music that doesn't get interrupted by sound effects.
Which is nice.
The fact is that, having the 16-bit look like Shovel Knight Dig seems to would be kind of interesting.
I guess I've just reached the point now where I want us to get past the 8-bit throwback and move into the 16-bit.
And then stay there, because the moment we get higher, things get ugly.
Yes.
Because then we get into Mario 64, and oh no. Although, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer re-released recently on the Switch, and that was based on the N64 version of the game, and it looks like a wonderful jank. But I'm going to say that's the exception and not the rule.
It is ugly. It looks closer to the PC version that came out at the time, which was
just the N64 version.
Which was a better version of the N64 version. And look, I had lots of fun with Pod Racer.
It's not called that. It's called Star Wars Episode 1, Racer.
I know.
Which is so stupid. Why isn't it just called Star Wars Pod Racer?
I will continue to call it Pod Racer. I know it's not the right title, but you're pod racing. Piss off.
I thought it was one of the better games on N64, to be honest.
Yeah?
It's a little janky, but kind of in a good way.
I just used to have lots of fun managing to beat the computer by milliseconds. Because that game was actually quite tough.
It kind of scratched the F-Zero itch because people were hoping for a good F-Zero, and by the time one arrived on the N64, it was a little disappointing.
Yeah, it really was.
In fact, I still like the original F-Zero on SNES, all things considered, and I've never liked any other F-Zero game nearly as much, though there have been some
I
that
didn't mind
close.
The GameCube version, at least I'd say the first half the game, before it got stupid hard.
So, map 2. Stage 2. I think that game was totally fine if all you were doing was playing multiplayer. No problem there.
Sure.
You tried to play the story mode in that game. That is not a trivial story mode.
You are brutalized.
You watch speedrunners do that and have trouble. This is a game. This story mode of that game might be harder than some of the harder NES games.
Yeah.
Like this is a Battletoads level story mode.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not an easy system. But we also got further news since NGPX has... Did it really shut down? Shut down is not the right word. Stopped. Do they still have more shows going on, or has the actual event ended for them?
Well, there's the Devolver one that's happening sometime in July this month. Nintendo has said nothing else. Other than that, they don't know if directs are going to be how they go forward anymore, which is a bit of a bummer because that has worked for them super hard. Microsoft is supposed to have something this month. Blizzard is doing a Shadowlands showcase in a couple days, but that's for one game and not for Diablo 4, for example.
Yes. Has BlizzCon been canceled?
Yeah.
Good.
Just not a good idea.
It really hasn't been for a while because here's the thing. BlizzCon basically came down to WoW and more WoW and Diablo mobile games.
They had enough games. Like, there's still enough Overwatch and Hearthstone and, at the time, Heroes of the Storm fans to kind of make a point of it, but they also don't hold it every year, so...
Yeah.
What were we fucking talking about? Right, fuck Gor'Don. We had to briefly break because Dave had the shits. And I had to go rub one out from whatever it was we were talking about. Gross. So Cyberpunk 2077 is looking pretty good. We had those gameplay fucking looks, and I'm like, well, it's got all my check boxes. Dong size, yes. Cool first-person gameplay, alright. Dong size.
I'm worried the game at this point can't live up to the hype. It has grown into this... Like, look, they do amazing games. Witcher 3 remains one of the best games I've played.
Yeah, I do hear you because, there's a lot of features ending up in Cyberpunk 2077. None of us want it to end up being talked about on Matt McMuscle's excellent What Happened series in the next few years. I hope that doesn't happen. So what I think they should do is delay the game as much as they need to. They don't need to make this year. And stop imposing crunch on your developers.
Yes. Witcher 3 will always be the game that I point to when people say that there have to be fetch quests in games. There doesn't. Witcher 3 made their quote-unquote fetch quests fun, interesting, and part of the world. It wasn't just go... you walk into town, it's like, oh, well, we're being... Our cows are being attacked by monsters every night. Can you go and can you take out the threat? You start tracking their tracks to find out where they are. All of a sudden, instead of fighting a couple of little goblin-type enemies, it turns out that a chimera moved into their cave and pushed them out. So now they're having to forage into areas for food more. Like, there's always more than just what you think you're getting. That fetch quest all of a sudden becomes this major thing that leads to a major quest. The writing in Witcher 3 was fantastic for that. Lots of flavor text, lots of showing how people are living, little things you thought meant nothing. All of a sudden, a little bit later, you're like, wait a second, wasn't that so-and-so? I know where they live because of X. Those are the sort of things that I'm expecting from Cyberpunk 2077.
I love how you put the pause so obviously in the middle between Cyberpunk and 2077.
I was going to say 2076.
That there's no way anyone knows you turned your head to look that up.
Didn't want to get the end part of the title wrong. But yeah, no, I'm hoping they're able to pull it off. They've already mentioned that they've taken out the walking on walls, like you can do like in Prince of Persia, for example. And if that's the biggest thing we lose, oh no, the horror.
As long as I can make a custom dong, I'm good.
I could lose the dong slider.
No, fuck you. You can't have a Cyberpunk game without letting me get real freaky in the genital area.
I'm not one for tattoos, but being able to customize and do an awesome-looking full-body tattoo is something I'm looking forward to in this game. I'm just looking forward to the game in general. I mean, I heard they went back and they gave Keanu Reeves' character more to do in the game just because of the crowd reaction to Keanu Reeves and the fact that the guy's almost a saint. I'm looking so forward to this game. I don't want to see it on a What Happened because it deserves so much more.
It's looking decent. It's looking very pretty. I do like the cyberpunk aesthetic. The what I could only say is the inside of Dave's computer, but turned into a city.
Yeah, my RGB inside my case is a little bit glowy.
The Blade Runner, the Akira comparisons are there. I don't know if you're gonna be able to fight a giant mass of flesh that becomes a new universe by crushing his former girlfriend, but should be some promising shit here. And I originally was pretty dismissive of this, and I still don't like a lot of what I'm hearing about the crunch culture at CD Projekt Red, but, I still want to play the game.
Which, for you, is actually quite rare.
Yeah, it is quite rare. It's quite rare because I'm a big curmudgeon who only wants to play pixel throwbacks and occasionally Gears of War. Since I had to reinstall Windows on my drive after replacing my laptop drive, I've been going through and just filling my now awesome fast terabyte SSDs with games from my Steam collection and also from my Xbox Game Pass on Windows.
Yep.
So I got my Streets of Rage 4, which I've already played through with you, but now there's a friend of the show who wants to play through it with me. I grabbed The Outer Worlds. I grabbed Gears Tactics and some other things that were free there that caught my eye. So
yeah.
Definitely got to do some catching up on that.
Xbox Game Pass for Windows has been a great investment for me. Because they keep on... Yes, games go away, but... I mean, they bring new games in. I play the ones I'm interested in. If for some reason I don't get finished in the time, or if it's worth playing longer, I'll buy it outright on another system. Kind of thing. It's been a good resource to have.
Yeah, it's been great.
I mean, really, I'm not going to call it the Netflix for games, because we don't really have that yet, but it's as close as we're going to get for a while.
I switched my main in WoW from tank to DPS, and I'm just having a lot more fun with the game.
Just because you can just throw back and just have some fun versus having everything riding on you?
I like tanking. I'm not bad at tanking. I'm actually pretty good, I think. I like to think that when I was your tank back in the day, that I did a good job.
Yeah.
My issue is that I don't like tanking for strangers, and I don't like the pressure of needing to know every encounter. So I decided, you know what? I have like 18 billion characters, and some of them are tank spec. My main doesn't need to be. So Fury Warrior, and I'm just having a lot more fun. Yeah, my queues take longer, but I find there's a lot more I can do. I'm making better progress in that solo dungeon. Yeah. Because it was kind of made for DPS and not for tanks, because it's timed. Sense. And I'm just enjoying a bunch of the dungeons and raids, basically. The time walking came back. It's Wrath of the Lich King time walking. And I queued up for it, and I got the Pit of Sauron. Do you remember the Pit of Sauron?
Yes.
I used to love that dungeon because Wrath of the Lich King is when I could tank a dungeon and still top the DPS meter by like 50 to 60% more damage than whoever came in second. And Pit of Sauron came up, and I'm like, oh, sweet, I remember this being fun. No, mechanics have changed over the years, and Pit of Sauron was a chore. Holy shit, was that not fun. But it was a good group. It's just that, man, we died so many times, forgot that we had to line of sight the guy with his ice attack. And it was, I was like, oh, wow, that was choppier than I thought it was going to be.
Well, I still remember in the it would be 2 expansions after Lich King.
Pandaria? It goes Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mists of Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor, Legion,
okay, sorry. So
Battle for Azeroth, Shadowlands.
It would have been Cataclysm then, not 2.
That was the one where you had healing issues, and I dismissed your healing issues thinking you just sucked, and I was bad for that because obviously they didn't know what they were doing. I apologize. Even
to this day. Now, granted, I haven't played since there's Pandaria, and then there was Legion.
Nope, Pandaria was there was Warlords of Draenor before Legion. You and I played a bunch of Warlords of Draenor. Yeah.
Well, actually, I played some Legion as well.
Okay.
That was the last expansion I actually got involved in. And even at that time, playing a Druid healer, I still couldn't do any of the legendary versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
It almost makes you want to try a Lich King Classic WoW, but then I remember this is a Classic WoW, so fuck that.
Yeah.
I've got better things to do than play old WoW.
No, I hear you.
I am probably going to jump back in for the next expansion, because when the next expansion is about to come out, if I buy that, I'll get the previous one as well.
That's right.
So I'll probably do that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, they'll make Battle for Azeroth part of the main game probably this year.
Mm-hmm. So that's probably when I'll get back into WoW for a little bit.
Cool.
A month or two.
We'll play. We'll go bowling.
I'll still only play my druid.
We'll go bowling. The only issue is if no, I have some tanks that I can use for us, including ironically a druid. So,
but yeah, no, I'll jump in and play some WoW then. The game I feel bad about abandoning completely is Guild Wars 2.
There were a lot of good things about Guild Wars 2. I just remember being like, I went through the story of that game, and I'm like, this is cool, but I don't really want to play it. I love Guild Wars 2 is the kind of game where I played it and I wish every other game stole its system so I didn't have to play Guild Wars 2. Though
actually, I wish everyone would use the updated version of the Guild Wars 2's engine, which was WildStar.
I loved WildStar, even though it was doomed to failure from the beginning.
WildStar had a lot of good things. Some pretty bad things, too.
Yep. Okay, WildStar. Whew. Was there anything else other than NGPX and that look at Cyberpunk? There were those indies that PlayStation showed, including that Worms platform fighter?
Yeah.
Question mark? And more of Haven?
I don't think it was really a big thing that PlayStation's getting indies, because that's kind of like saying game developers breathe. The fact that Sony is allowing indies onto their system isn't exactly new.
Sony seems to have come out swinging. They got a good presentation. They want good indie representation. It seems like they're really swinging for the fences this gen.
Well,
this upcoming gen. So
they better, because if they're going to increase the games by $10.
Oh yeah, there's that too. Christ. I shouldn't be complaining too much because I don't play nearly as many AAA games as others do.
It's honestly, Jim Sterling had a great video yesterday, I believe, on this, where the increase in money is not justified.
No, the current prices aren't justified.
Especially when you add in microtransactions. I mean, people will come back and say, well, video games haven't raised their price in 2 generations. Well, that's not what my DLC and my microtransactions tell me.
Yeah.
They are making billions of dollars on microtransactions and the like. So no, they do not have to increase their games by $10. The fact that it's Basketball 2K 2020 or whatever else, it's being the first one to do it, is a joke.
I still think this should be illegal.
These games should be free. It should the amount that they screw people out of.
There needs to be legislation behind this.
Which brings me to the United Kingdom.
Yes, the House of Lords has hereby decreed the
loot boxes are gambling.
Yes.
Period.
So there has to be some kind of change, and those changes should hopefully reciprocate to other parts of the world, because game publishers don't want to have multiple development pipelines everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm. This is a good thing.
This is a good thing.
Because the House of Representatives for the UK earlier this year, I think it was, or late last year, I forget which one, had a very damning report around loot boxes and surprise mechanics.
I cannot believe to this day that EA tried to call them surprise mechanics. That is like, I apologize. Content warning. I'm going to make a very stupid joke right now. Fast forward about 15 seconds if you don't want to hear it. That's like calling rape surprise sex. It's so wrong. It's obviously fucking like them just trying to justify this evil thing. It's so stupid.
Surprise mechanics. Fuck off. But I mean, EA is tried to be the master and try and sneak that in, but whoever they're doing that session with just did not bite on. Well, they bit. they chewed that fucker to death. It's time. It's really time.
No, there's so many things that have to be that have to be done in terms of this legislation. There needs to be a huge look at how loot boxes operate, how microtransactions work, especially for games that have been sold for a specific price. There needs to be a look at games that offer limited time exclusives and retire them to prevent people from being to make people scared to let their subscriptions lapse, which is also predatory. Blizzard loves that one.
Actually, yeah, Blizzard loves the time specific ones, but you know who actually has that one down? Final Fantasy 14.
Does Final Fantasy 14 have a lot of time exclusives?
They have a few time exclusives here and there, special events, but let's talk about.
I should note before you go on your topic, when I say timed exclusives, I'm not talking about a yearly thing
Seasonal
where
events.
There's a seasonal event and you have a window within a year that will return next year.
Yeah, no, we're talking one-time events that will never come back.
I'm talking about how I have Tyrael's charger in a while. Do you want Tyrael's charger?
You can't get it.
You can't get it.
Nope.
You need to have had it by now or you can't get it anymore. That's what I mean.
Well, you're talking about things that keep people keeping subscriptions.
Yeah,
Final Fantasy
which is predatory because it makes people scared to cancel.
Final Fantasy 14 and houses.
Oh.
If I don't log in every 15 days, I lose my house.
Okay.
So if I let my subscription lapse, I lose my house.
Now hang on, this is different though, because let's say you lost your house. Would you be able to, even if difficult, get a similar house in a similar lot? Or even the same one if you manage to buy it back or that person let it lapse?
Maybe, but we're talking about things that are predatory to keep people subscribed.
Okay, now hang on, no. I'm not sure if I agree with this because housing is a wholly optional thing that... And here's the thing, this is almost kind of a... in a way, this is the opposite of what I'm talking about, because if you're not in the real world, if you're not using your property, it should be open to the public. This is a whole thing of how rich people have money sank into property that they just have so that it can make them money and nobody lives in it. Look at all the rich people condos in New York, for example. Like, that's a real world thing. So the video game version of that, where you get to have a house forever that you're never using and nobody can have that property anymore, I don't know if I think that's predatory at all. Maybe you should use your fucking house. I don't know, that sounds a little shady to me, Dave. Maybe you should open an orphanage there or something.
I'd be glad to.
I don't think that's the same thing.
I still think it's a practice that they're doing to keep people like me who... I still want my house. I'd love to let my account lapse for 3 months. And then come back. But if I do, my house and all the stuff in it are reduced to nothing.
Now,
I lose the plot.
I don't like that you lose the stuff in it. I will agree there. And in all honesty, like, if I let my WoW account lapse for over a year, people could start claiming my character names. And I don't think I like that too much, but I also kind of get it. If I'm not using it, let people have it, you know? And then there's the argument of, why the fuck are they taking your house? It's a fake, phony house. Just put more housing servers.
That's how it should be, but they don't want to do that.
I see where you're coming from. I really do.
I'll occasionally just get the email saying, we are about to tear down your house.
Well, they let you know.
They do. But, I mean, at least if it was... a couple months kind of thing, I can let my account lapse for a couple months. But no, I have to keep it going. Every month, all year. That subscription is not cheap.
No, it's not.
Especially when you start adding in the fact that I have the additional bank characters.
Yeah, no, you know what? I get what you're saying. I shouldn't be defending Square. Square's an evil corporation like all the other evil corporations. What am I doing?
Even if we do like the game.
Yeah. No, you're right. I feel like we have tangented off. Let's check in if we can hear that broadcast from that other dimension coming. Vade, can you believe that all of the board of directors of every major game company that was fleecing money from taxpayers has been arrested? And that they're actually going to face justice, but in a reformed criminal justice system that doesn't involve prisons.
Sure, of course, it's 2020. This is the greatest 2020 that we'll ever have.
Yeah, it's been great. I really like how in Final Fantasy XIV they just added more housing servers and don't take away your house. Also, did you know that you can go get Tyrael's charger in WoW right now if you missed it?
Well, they open up all the different pets.
Yeah, it's all the appearances, the Mage Tower stuff from Legion. It's all back. Okay, turn it off! Turn it off! I can't stand to hear that fucking Gor'Don guy in his perfect universe. Pisses me right the fuck off.
I could listen to Vade all day.
Yeah, Vade's great. Vade's great. Nobody's complaining about Vade.
Okay, get the teleporter going. I want to go there.
We want to go to this alternate dimension, and let's make it a little bit worse by murdering Gor'Don and Vade.
We'll just switch places.
Oh man, we don't want to visit that on them. Like, we've experienced this shitty 2020. We don't want to wish this upon them. They seem like they're happy.
Damn it.
Yeah,
I want to be happy too.
We you know what would make others happy is commenting on our podcast and leaving us voicemail. Go to animerave.xyz and click on send voicemail, and your voicemail could be featured on a future podcast. That's where you can also find Two Fat Guys Talk and also our other show, Carl's Name Anime Rave. Leave us comments. If you have the means, go to our Patreon. Leave us money. If you don't, just spread the word. And as always, stay safe, stay warm, wash your hands, Black Lives Matter, and all the other important stuff.
Tune in next time.
Goodbye.